Lie to you. Over the next 4 years, I am probably going to be doing a lot of videos about how the establishment Democrats and the progressives are double-crossing each other and bickering and fussing and fighting, because the establishment Democrats have made the progressives a whole lot of promises in exchange for getting Joe Biden elected and for ultimately winning the Senate in Georgia. And I'm sitting here thinking, you know, obviously the establishment, Joe Biden, they're not going to execute on all this stuff. But yet, it was revealed that Joe Biden is proposing a $15 an hour minimum wage. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this don't really make sense. I didn't really expect them to come out for this soon and to try to push for something like this. However, this is what they're doing. I believe personally that they know there's a snowball's chance in hell that the Republicans will go along with a $15 an hour minimum wage at the federal level. Therefore, it's there as a bargaining chip, as something that they know they're not going to be able to get, just to say, well, we tried, but the Republicans said no, so blame them, right? That's what they're trying to do with a $15 an hour minimum wage, in my opinion. And I think what confirms my opinion here is how they're trying to finesse the progressives out of the $2,000 stimulus check that was promised to them. And unsurprisingly, the progressives are not having any of it, and they're calling out Joe Schmo on his BS. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective, a.k.a. a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. Let's take a look at an overview of Joe Biden's plan here. Now, this tweet summarizes the plan. Obviously, I read it, but this is a great way of summarizing in a way that's going to be quick and easy for you guys to digest and understand. It's really not too important to go into like the nitty-gritty details, because this stuff is all subject to change anyways. Once the real negotiations start, this is just the starting point. But they have 2K checks. So in total, the plan is worth about $1.9 trillion. Okay, and this is the first installment in what Biden wants to do with the economy, right? He wants to do the stimulus first, and then he wants to do a second plan that is going to be more focused on infrastructure and things of that nature. So in total, I think Biden is probably going to be looking to spend about $4 trillion, maybe even up to $5 trillion just this year, in trying to implement his economic plan for the next 4 years. So that's a lot. A lot of people thinking about, $5 trillion. Like, God, where we going to get all this money from? And I'm right there with you. I mean, they really getting up there, and Biden starting off pretty hot, you know, in terms of the reckless Democrat spending that we all come to know and love. But they have 2K checks, add $1,400 to $600, adult independents included. Now, what that means is that Biden, instead of sending the 2K checks, he's sending $1,400 to round out the $600 that we initially got under Trump to $2,000. Now, obviously, the progressives are mad about this. I'm going to get into that later after I go over all this. $400 a week in unemployment through September will push for, quote, triggers, not retroactive. That's also the progressives are mad about that. AOC says that the unemployment benefits should be retroactive and cover the times in which people were not getting them. A child tax credit of the $3,000 per year per kid, fully refundable. $15 an hour minimum wage. I've already done a video on that. I've talked about that if you want to look through it. Eviction moratorium through 9/21. And some other things in here. We have some money for healthcare, testing, national vaccine program, public health workers, $350 billion in aids for states and cities, $130 billion for schools, 14 weeks paid leave, paid sick and family leave, major earned income tax credit expansion, and $25 billion for rental assistance. Okay, and I'm gonna post a link in the comment section. You guys can read the full plan yourself, but this is just a good overview of the outline. Now, like I said, the progressives are pissed about this, particularly the 2K checks, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, our favorite progressive slash self-described socialist, says Democrats should pass 2K on top of the $600 from December rather than add $1,400 to get 600 to 2,000. 2,000 means 2,000. 2,000 does not mean 1,400. And Cori Bush also responded to this and says 1,400 does not equal 2,000. Obviously, people in the comment section are pissed about this as well, because they're saying that Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff specifically campaigned on $2,000 checks. They did not campaign on $1,400 checks. So Democrats are already showing how sneaky they can be in terms of their promises. Okay. And just so we can see here, Raphael Warnock literally ran on the fact that Kelly Loeffler didn't support $2,000 relief checks. Right. So you're telling people that you want to give people $2,000. Jon Ossoff, we can pass $2,000 relief checks. We can win this in the Senate. You try to buy the Senate with $2,000 relief checks, but when it actually comes around to actually fulfilling your promises, you try to pull the okie doke on people and try to say, oh no, what we really meant was $1,400. That's what we really meant. We didn't mean 2,000. We just wanted to round out what happened under the Trump administration. Okay. And this is just one of the very sneaky ways that the Democrats operate. Okay. This is how they operate. They'll say one thing, and then when you actually start to look at the plan, they'll say, oh, it's $2,000. We're just giving you the $1,400 that's going to go on top of the $600 that you've already received. When they've campaigned, literally campaigned in Georgia and told everybody, we're going to pass $2,000 checks. We're going to give you a $2,000 check. Okay. Now, Marco Rubio, who's a Republican senator from Florida, I think he's hitting Biden here over the fact that Biden's trying to do a whole bunch of stuff at one time that's not going to be easy to pass, and that Biden needs to focus on just getting money to the people directly instead of playing the political games. Now, here's what Marco Rubio says. President-elect Biden served in Senate for over 35 years, which is part of the problem in politics. We need term limits. So he knows the plan he outlined out tonight can't pass quickly and will delay the 2K for hard-hit Americans. Let's get the extra money to people first. All right. So I tend to agree with Marco Rubio here. And I'm actually happy to see that he's showing some bipartisanship. And there's still some Republican support for the extra stimulus money, even though, what happened in the past and that Trump is no longer going to be in office. There's still some people that's behind it. I still would imagine that Josh Hawley is behind it. Marco Rubio is behind it. Hopefully, Lindsey Graham is still behind it. I think this is a good sign that the Republicans at least are thinking about, trying to be bipartisan in some way. But I agree with him on the point that I think what Biden is doing, I think, is something that's only going to hold things up. If I was Biden, personally, what I would do is that I would try to go ahead and get the stimulus money passed, the stimulus checks that they promised, passed through basically a regular vote, in which they would just need 60 votes in order to pass it. They obviously would better get the Republicans on board with it, right? As you have some that supported it before. And then, whatever they're trying to do later on, they probably should try to do through the budget reconciliation process, which only needs a simple majority to pass. Now, I'm not sure if they will be able to get that simple majority if, they have all the things in it, like the 2K checks plus the minimum wage, all that stuff. I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to be a fast process, right? Because I'm sure even some Democrats, maybe like Joe Manchin, may not necessarily be on board with, a package of this size, also including the $15 an hour minimum wage, let alone also the Republicans, who there seems to be no liability protection for businesses, and there's also no plan on how to open up these businesses, okay? We're sending money to people, and that's great, but we need businesses to be open and the economy to open up a little bit so they can actually spend the money on stuff. That's the whole point of sending them money. The whole point of sending them money is not for them to save it. I mean, I'm going to save it, personally, but the whole point is for people to spend the money. Okay. So at this point, what I expect is for a lot of this stuff to kind of be trimmed out of what Biden is asking for in his initial plan, especially if he's going to try to do some of this stuff through regular order vote, in which they need 60 to pass instead of budget reconciliation. He may try to save that for his infrastructure plan or whatever, right? He may try to save that for something else. But if he's going to try to pass this through regular vote, he's going to have to take a lot of this stuff out. He's going to have to cut this down, trim it down, focus on getting money to the people, and probably try to give some concessions to the Republicans in terms of either open back up the economy or some liability protections. That's something that Republicans are definitely going to want to see in whatever stimulus is passed. That's something they have been negotiating with the Democrats on in the past, and I'm pretty sure that they're not going to sign up for any of this unless they get some concessions on things. But all in all, there you have it. The progressives are upset with Biden. They think that Biden is trying to finesse them on a promise that he made for 2K stimulus checks, and instead he's only doing 1,400, which honestly, like I said, is really just politics. I'm not surprised. Democrats going back on their promises once again. No shame in that game. But we will see what happens moving forward. If that's going to adjust, will Biden end up actually making it a whole 2K? Will the Republicans make him negotiate out the $15 an hour minimum wage? Also, the money for state and local governments, will the Republicans get on board with that? I mean, I think there's $350 billion going there. I know Cuomo is jumping up and down to get that because of how broke New York is. So there's a lot of moving parts here with this Biden stimulus. But like I said, one thing for sure, guys, there will be a lot of content to cover with the progressives and the Democrats going back and forth with each other about the broken promises and how they don't feel like the Democrat Party is working for them. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.